Imagine a land where ice reigns supreme, where the sun barely rises in winter but never sets in summer. If you have even wandered one of the coldest, most mysterious lands on Earth, you are not alone. Here is not just a vast, icy wilderness. It is a land rich in culture, history, and untapped resources. And guess what happened? It is so intriguing that even Donald Trump wanted to buy here. Are you ready for a journey to a land that is out of this world? A land of white and green, whose history goes back to the Vikings and even the Mongols. A journey to the land of the Northern Lights and eternity, where day and night change places and only the strongest survive. This is Greenland, one of Earth's last untouched frontiers, where corpses freeze and mummify before they rot, where the ice whispers stories of the past and the people write their future in the snow. Get ready for one of the most extraordinary journeys in the world, because you will feel the cold to the bone. By the end of this video, you will discover what makes Greenland so fascinating and why it has become a global obsession. Greenland, the world's largest non-continental island, has an area of 2,166,000 square kilometers, and 81% of the country is covered by ice, and only 56,000 people live here. Look, right now, you are seeing an icebreaker ship heading for Greenland in March. This ship, with its cargo of supplies, must reach the Greenland towns quickly, or a brutal famine could ensue. Since almost no fruits and vegetables grow in the country, they have to come from Denmark. Because Greenland is not independent, it is an autonomous region of the Kingdom of Denmark. In 1814, the country became part of Denmark, and while it is free in its internal affairs, it still recognizes Danish rule and Queen II Margrethe. All health, safety, and infrastructure services in the country are provided by Denmark. Although the houses in Greenland are colorful, their exteriors are quite plain and uniform. The reason for this is about taking precautions against the cold before aesthetics. Otherwise, temperatures that can drop to -60 degrees can turn you into a block of ice in a few minutes. Also, no one can own land here, so that after you submit your project and the location of your house to the local municipality, you start construction with the approval you receive. However, as soon as you walk out of your door, everything is the property of the state. I know you will be surprised, but here a woman can marry 3 men. Everything in Greenland is based on survival. Almost the entire population subsists on hunting animals such as whales, seals, and reindeer. The main sources of food are limited to what nature gives you. Even clothing and household items are still made from animal skins and bones, making it essential to have a woman at home to keep order while the men are out hunting. The state even has an official institution for this, so that a man who cannot find anyone to marry because of the population register applies to the marriage agency and asks for a suitable wife to be found for him. But if the result is negative, someone else's wife takes on the task of running the household with her second or third husband. But don't be confused, these marriages are not official, do not involve sex, and are very rare. Actually, the idea is that a man without a woman in the house hires a helper to prepare the furs of the animals he hunts, to do the chores and keep the house in order. Otherwise, that society cannot survive. That is entirely because the natives of Greenland see marriage as a joint work. In fact, even calling it marriage with second and third husbands is a misnomer. It is truly amazing. However, when it comes to survival, many things can become ordinary. So, why did people feel the need to settle in this country, which is covered with ice for most of the year? In fact, the Vikings are at the origin of the story. A few Viking explorers discovered Greenland, but they didn't feel the need to settle here. But Erik Thorvaldsson, a famous Viking nobleman nicknamed Erik the Red, is sentenced to exile for a murder he committed in Iceland. In the 1980s, Eric the Red set sail for the faraway land he had heard of in legends and discovered Greenland, which he would name. Contrary to popular belief, he did not call it the Green Country because he found it in summer. Eric the Red spent 3 years in Greenland, exploring important parts of the country and seeing in detail the harsh conditions and cold. However, he needed a more attractive name than Iceland to convince people and bring them here. According to Viking legends, Eric the Red returns from exile and comes to Iceland. He tells the free men that he has discovered a lush green land and persuades them to come with him. They set out on a voyage with 21 ships, but only 14 arrived safely. And the other Vikings laugh at Eric the Red and say, "This is a green country where there is no green at all." And the name of this land remains Greenland. And it is no longer easy for them to go back. Afterwards, free men started to settle here. But who knows, maybe Eric the Red named that land Greenland after this landscape he encountered. Greenland is home to some of the most extraordinary sights in the world, and the Northern Lights are one of them. Think about it. When you raise your head, a sky more beautiful than you can imagine. Thousands of years ago, the Inuit, or more crudely, the Eskimos, a group of mostly Mongolian and Siberian peoples who crossed the Bering Strait and settled in Alaska and then in Canada, began to settle in Greenland in the 13th century. So that, today, 88% of Greenland's population is made up of Inuit. Even today, their language is so similar to the Ural-Altaic language family that in Greenland, the mother is used as Ana Ana and the father as Ata Ata. Isn't this really surprising? Although a significant part of the Inuit people have nowadays accepted Christianity, there is also a large population that continues to practice shamanism. You can see places of worship dedicated to Tengri in various parts of the country. The Inuit were subjected to a secret genocide for many years. For example, a woman who went to the doctor because she could not get pregnant saw that she had a spiral inserted into her uterus and did not know about it. Research revealed that doctors from Denmark systematically carried out such practices to reduce the reproductive rate of Eskimos, so that the birth rate in Eskimos had decreased from 7 to 2. Following the reports, the Danish government has recently launched an investigation dating back to the 1970s. Let's see what this investigation will reveal. I am curious too. The total length of highways in this huge country is only 150 kilometers, so there are no highways between cities. Many settlements are cut off during the winter months. Although they used to use sleds for transportation, this has now turned into a touristic purpose. And unfortunately, sled dogs are not treated very well. Everyone has a car and a snowmobile, and snowmobiles are the main means of transportation. Only a very small number of Inuit in the far north of the country use sled dogs as a real means of transportation. There are only direct flights to Greenland from Denmark and Iceland, and tickets are unbelievably expensive. Water is also not easy to find in the country. Due to the freezing temperatures throughout the year, municipalities distribute water to homes every few days for cleaning and other needs. In short, living in Greenland is not easy at all. Family life is also in ruins. Almost half of the population experiencing domestic violence and early divorce. The lack of things to do during the day due to the cold has turned the locals into alcohol addicts. The fact that the drinking age is below 18 also increases this addiction. Men in Greenland spend the day drinking heavily after finishing work. In fact, in 2021, police in the town of Tasiilaq reported 15 incidents of domestic violence, 2 suicides, 4 suicide threats, and 6 other violent incidents in a short period of time. At the same time, Local health authorities reported that treatment for alcohol poisoning was at capacity, and the government banned the sale of alcohol in the town for 2 weeks. These short-term alcohol bans are often imposed in various regions. The constant overcast weather, months of night, and excessive alcohol consumption, accompanied by a social vacuum, have pushed the rate of suicide and violence well above the world average. Greenlanders, or Inuit, who make up 88% of the population, generally have their own way of life. The companies here are run by Europeans, who are the minority, and if an Inuit does not show up for work for a few days, they have no right to say anything. Because it is not easy to find a replacement, nor is it easy to discipline a free society accustomed to doing as they please. Greenlanders are very hospitable people. The most popular music genre in the country is rock. Don't be surprised if you see even women over 60 listening to rock music with headphones. Although the level of education was very low in previous generations, new generations have managed to improve themselves. They are also Danish citizens, so if they go to Denmark to study at university, all their expenses and costs are covered by the Danish state. I think this is an effort by Denmark, which is a kind of colonial owner, to keep the locals happy. On the other hand, there's no proper infrastructure. The ground is covered with hard rock and ice, making many means of communication, including internet and telephone, problematic. Many cities do not even have a garbage system. Garbage is dumped in a field on the outskirts of the city, buried under snow in winter and infested with crows in summer. Television and internet are provided by satellite signals in every town and city. For this reason, internet speed is very low and expensive in the country. The minimum wage in Greenland is €204 as of 2024. If you are a skilled worker or technician, your salary can increase to €6,000 or €7,000. Fishermen also earn a significant amount of money. Well, have you heard that Donald Trump wanted to buy Greenland for money when he was the American president? Trump's offer to buy Greenland was met with great reaction, and Donald Trump canceled his visit to Denmark. In fact, there are still American military bases in the country. Thule American Air Base was established in Greenland against the Nazis during World War II and continues its activities today as Patuffik Space Base. However, there is another secret base nearby. Established in 1958 with permission from Denmark for scientific experiments, Camp Century, part of the Iceworm Project, was used not only for scientific experiments, but also to produce nuclear weapons and defense systems against the Soviet Union. When the atomic activities were discovered by the Danish government, it was abandoned in 1968 and remained under the glaciers. The camp, which was built entirely under the glaciers, has enough facilities for a modern city to carry out all the activities consisting of power plants, workshops, offices, radio station, garages, building, shops, hospital, living areas, fitness center. At the heart of Camp Century, there is even an atomic power plant that can provide light and heat for this city under the ice. This allowed soldiers to read and play records in cozy rooms lit by atomic power. Today, anyone who wants to visit Camp Century needs special permission, and only approved trips are allowed. The closure of the secret base brought about many conspiracy theories. Assumptions that many people still believe, such as that secret work on aliens is being carried out here, that UFOs fly in and out, that a gigantic hole has been drilled into the center of the Earth, occupied the media for a long time. However, today, we know that the accessible parts of the base have hundreds of kilometers of tunnels under the snow and nuclear missiles installed against the Soviet Union. The secret base, which is still mostly under glaciers, is feared to leak extremely radioactive waste to the world if the glaciers continue to melt. The American interest in Greenland is not only military, but also to control the untapped and unlimited underground resources such as oil and natural gas. Classic American behavior. Greenland is a land of the world's most extraordinary landscapes, adventurers, and explorers. It is a land of survival adventures as a tourist, a land where killer whales pass by you when you sail in canoes, where you can still visit planes that crashed years ago in the middle of the glaciers, where seals and moose are everywhere, where polar bears come with surprises, where you can dive in freezing seas, where you can go on an endless journey between glaciers and ships, where people have to look at the world differently from everyone else and survive. This is what the 30 million tons of ice that Greenland loses every hour looks like if it were positioned next to the Eiffel Tower before melting. Unfortunately, in a very short time, all the glaciers in the country are expected to melt. This is an international problem that will open the door to major disasters for both the people there and the rest of the world. I don't know if you will have the chance or the need to go and see Greenland before all this happens. Greenland stands as both a symbol of what we could lose and a beacon of hope for what we can protect. But remember that Greenland is not of this world. It is a magical land of ice and solitude,